Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're stepping into a love story. But hold on, put down the rom-com. This isn't your average meet cute, you know?
Right.
We're diving deep into a love between the pages, a text that explores a relationship that, well, it sparked in, you guessed it, a bookstore. Get ready for some literary love, folks.
And this isn't just about like two people bumping into each other in the fiction aisle.
Yeah.
No, this text, it sets the stage for a romance that unfolds slowly and deliberately, attracting readers who, much like the characters themselves, connect through this shared love for the written word.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So right from the start, we're introduced to Amelia, our protagonist, a book editor who finds herself seeking, well, shelter, really, in a bookstore on a rainy day. You know, classic romance novel setup, right?
Classic.
Except maybe this time, instead of tripping over a stack of Jane Austen, she bumps into
Daniel, an artistic soul with, a penchant for poetry, Neruda to be precise. And I know what you're thinking. Poetry. Slow burn romance. But that's the beauty of this text, you see. It challenges those typical whirlwind romance tropes, opting instead for a connection that simmers rather than explodes.
Okay, for those of us who haven't, brushed up on our romance genre terminology lately, what exactly does slow burn mean in this context? Asking for a friend.
Sure. Essentially, it's about a relationship that develops gradually. Think lingering glances, conversations that spark curiosity, a connection that deepens over time like a slow, steady fire instead of a sudden burst of flame. And this is reflected, really perfectly, in Amelia and Daniel's initial encounters.
It's like that feeling when you're totally engrossed in a novel and you find yourself savoring each page, not wanting it to end.
Precisely. The text emphasizes their shared love for language, their conversations about Neruda. They act as a catalyst. But it's more than just common interests, you see. It's the way they connect on an intellectual and emotional level through their discussions. It's revealing a depth that goes beyond, just superficial attraction.
It's like their first meeting, I guess. A scene ripped straight from the pages of a classic romance novel, set against, the backdrop of overflowing bookshelves and the gentle drumming of rain outside. Ugh, talk about setting the mood.
Their initial encounter is actually described as a scene out of a novel, which, given their shared passion, feels incredibly fitting. It's that feeling of serendipity, of fate bringing two souls together in the most, perfect bookish way possible.
And that, my friends, is just the first page of their story. So no whirlwind romance here. Instead of diving headfirst into, some passionate but ultimately fleeting love affair, Amelia and Daniel's connection, it deepens gradually, like a slow, simmering pot of amazing soup. I mean, who wants soup that's been microwaved, right?
It's refreshing, isn't it? In a world that's, obsessed with instant gratification, the relationship unfolds with this deliberate slowness.
Yeah.
It reminds us that some of the most rewarding things in life, they take time to develop. Remember that tending the fire analogy from the text?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a powerful image, right? It suggests this conscious effort, a willingness to, invest time and care into nurturing something special. And it makes their connection feel earned, genuine. So as their bond grows, what is it about Amelia and Daniel that really draws them to each other?
Well, Amelia is captivated by Daniel's artistic nature. He's a painter, did we mention that? And his work is described as, incredibly evocative, full of emotions that words can't quite capture.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's almost as if Daniel's art gives a voice to the unspoken, offering this counterpoint to Amelia's world of, carefully chosen words.
That's such a cool dynamic. Like, she finds a different kind of poetry in his paintings.
Exactly. And it challenges those stereotypical gender roles we often see in romances, where the man is, immediately drawn to the woman's physical appearance. Here, it's Amelia's sharp intellect, her passion for her work, that truly captivates Daniel. He admires her dedication to bringing stories to life, which, mirrors his own desire to evoke emotion through his art.
It reminds me of, Zelda and F. Scott Fitzgerald, those creative souls drawn to each other's brilliance. Of course, we all know how that turned out, but still. It makes you wonder about the push and pull of love and ambition, right?
But back to Amelia and Daniel.
The text doesn't shy away from their physical connection either, describing it as a, sensual dance that unfolds with the same, unhurried grace as their emotional bond. It's not just about passion, there is an emphasis on tenderness, exploration, and this deep sense of comfort.
It's like their physical intimacy is an extension of the poetry they find in each other, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Every touch, every glance, it's imbued with meaning, reflecting the depth of their connection. But as with, I guess, any love story, there are bumps along the way. The text highlights how Amelia's demanding job as an editor starts to create, some tension in their little love nest. Long hours, endless deadlines. We've all been there, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
And sometimes even the most understanding partners, well, they get lost in the shuffle. And that's where things get really interesting, right? Because it's not like some outside force threatening their happiness. It's this everyday struggle that so many couples face, balancing individual ambitions with the needs of a relationship.
Exactly. The text does a brilliant job of, showing both sides of this conflict. We see Daniel trying to be understanding, but those insecurities, they start to creep in. Like, does her dedication to her career mean she loves him less?
Yeah.
It's a question that, well, it can eat away at you.
Totally. And meanwhile, Amelia's caught up in this whirlwind of deadlines, editorial demands. It's not that she doesn't care, but she's missing those emotional cues, those subtle signs that Daniel needs reassurance.
And that miscommunication, that disconnect between their emotional needs, it leads to their first major argument.
Yeah.
And you could practically feel the tension leaping off the pages. It's a turning point in the story. A moment of, I think, painful honesty that forces them to confront some hard truths.
It's almost as if the author deliberately put them through this trial by fire, because up until this point, their relationship has been all poetry readings and shared glances. But this argument, it's real, it's raw, and it leaves them both reeling.
It's a reminder that even the strongest connections, they require constant care and attention. Especially when you throw in demanding careers, individual dreams. It begs the question, can love truly survive when personal goals pull us in different directions?
Which brings us to that pivotal moment when Amelia and Daniel decide to take a break. Now, I know what you're thinking, time to cue the dramatic music, but it's not like a full-blown throw your things in the street breakup. It's more of a strategic retreat.
A conscious uncoupling, as they say, a chance for introspection, for them to, figure out what they truly want, both individually and as a couple. And the text doesn't sugarcoat this separation. It's a period of, profound loneliness and self-discovery for both of them.
Amelia's achieving all this professional success, yet it feels hollow without Daniel. And Daniel, his art, which used to be so vibrant and full of life, now feels empty, almost lifeless without Amelia's presence to inspire him.
It highlights the fact that they haven't just become accustomed to each other's presence, they've become integral parts of each other's lives. The absence of one impacts the very core of the other. It's a powerful testament to, I think, the depth of their bond.
But it takes being apart, facing that emptiness for them to truly understand what they stand to lose. And that's when Amelia has her big epiphany, right? One evening, driven by this overwhelming wave of emotion, she finds herself at Daniel's doorstep. No grand gestures, just pure, raw honesty.
And that's the turning point. She confesses her feelings, admitting she misses him. And the simple words, they speak volumes. It takes immense courage to be that vulnerable, to put your heart on the line like that.
Daniel, of course, still carries a torch for Amelia. He invites her in, but this isn't some cheesy, fall back into each other's arms reunion. Instead, they engage in this incredibly honest conversation about their fears, their needs, and what they both want from the relationship moving forward.
It's not about sweeping their issues under the rug or pretending everything's, magically fixed. It's about acknowledging the challenges they face and making a conscious decision to work through them together, to choose each other, even when it's hard.
And that's how A Love Between the Pages concludes, not with a fairy tale ending, but with a sense of, I think, realistic optimism. They're aware that challenges will inevitably arise, but they're committed to facing them as a team.
It circles back beautifully to the title. Their love story, much like a good book, is ongoing. It's filled with chapters of joy, conflict, growth, and reconciliation. It reminds us that love isn't a destination, but a journey.
So what can we take away from Amelia and Daniel's, unconventional love story? It reminds us that relationships require effort, compromise, open communication, but more importantly, it highlights the power of, shared passions, the magic that happens when two souls connect on a deeper level. This deep dive into A Love Between the Pages has been quite the journey. It leaves us with plenty to ponder about our own relationships and the role that books and shared passions play in our lives.